Isn't that like a clap thing?
I can do it if you want.
You can buy one cheap.
Yeah. Hi guys, welcome to Student Survival Guide Tax Series. Today with me I have Daniel, that lovely volunteer to work with us about tax, because we got a ton of questions from you internationals asking about the Danish tax system. So we actually created this episode for 6 episodes that will air from this February. And yeah, we will hopefully get you going good when you arrive to Denmark and learn a lot about the tax and how it works and how the deduction works and what to be aware of in the tax system. And we want to make a little bit disclaimer that this is only for guidance, of course. Yeah. Your situation can be different, but then we have Daniel, and you're always welcome to contact Daniel from your tax. So yeah, in this episode we're gonna go through the most simple things about the Danish tax systems, and I actually want to introduce to you, Daniel. Can you tell a little bit about who are you and why do you actually want to contribute to Student Survival Guide and the internationals out there?
Yeah, of course. So, my name is Daniel. I have a small company named Yourtax. And the principles of my company is basically, you can say, to uncomplicate the taxes for people coming to Denmark. I also remember even that I am a Dane. I have been living in Denmark for all my life. When I moved away from my mom and dad and I had to manage the taxes on my own, I was a big question mark. So I could imagine it's also a question mark for new people coming to Denmark. And this is really why I am here and I have my company. I love to help people.
And actually, I'm a Dane as well, and I have the same problem. I mean, when moving out, and you're just like a big blank question mark about how does this even work. Yeah. So I'm very happy that we can actually help you guys, and don't be afraid of reaching out, because tax can be hard sometimes, but it can also be simple if we manage it correctly. So yeah, let's dig into it. Let's go through the most basic things in the Danish tax system. So Denmark is a welfare state, and that's the fundamental of how it works and why we actually also tax that high. So can you please elaborate on why do we actually pay taxes and what do we get in return?
Yeah, of course. So as you mentioned, we have a welfare state in Denmark, and that doesn't fund itself. Denmark is actually funded by, you can say to a certain extent, all individuals that has a work and pay taxes in Denmark. I think employment income and taxes from that covers 1/3 part of, you can say, the funds that are coming into the authorities. And I think you mentioned that Denmark we pay high tax. We do, but actually if you look at the total combined tax we pay compared to many other countries, it's actually not significantly higher. Part of what we pay in Denmark, you can say, we pay tax, and including in the tax we also pay a small amount to Social Security, but it's close to nothing. Where in a lot of other countries they pay quite large contributions. Anyway, we do pay taxes in Denmark, and we pay it so we can also get something in return. So the welfare state is for all people. It doesn't matter if you pay more in taxes than I do, we still get the same. So we can go to, you can say, hospitals, doctors. We get
the free education as well.
Free education and also actually payment for studying. So we get SU. And then there's also a lot of discounts. So for example, daycare, schools and so on. Even if you go to the dentist, you might not know, but that's actually also partly subsidized by the government. They also pay part of that. We have a very good infrastructure, and you can say also use a lot of money on public transportation. All of this is also partly actually funded by taxes. So we're all in it, and it's kind of like one for all and all for one.
And I can tell that I'm very, very happy that I got my education paid here, and also not worrying about what if I come sick? Do you have to pay for the medical care? Or and so that's a super nice way of doing it, and of course it has to have a price, but I think that's good for the investment, if you can say it like that. So if there's an international coming to Denmark, so when are you actually tax liable here in Denmark?
It's a good question, and there can be different scenarios to that, but you can say as a thumb rule, if you actually take your personal belongings with you and you travel to Denmark and you get a new home in Denmark, this is your new base, this is where you live, then you become tax liable to Denmark. And in Denmark, we, as in many other countries, we would call it that you are fully tax liable. That actually means that Denmark considers you tax liable of your worldwide income. So it doesn't matter from where the income comes, Denmark would be sure to tax it. So there may be situations where if you only come to Denmark maybe for like a part-time study, you have one semester here as a foreign exchange student maybe, you wouldn't necessarily become fully tax liable. It's something that should be, you can say, assessed in the given specific situation. But you can say the thumb rule, if you take everything with you, you get your new home in Denmark and you actually intend to stay here for quite a number of years, you become fully tax liable here.
Okay, so how do we actually pay taxes in Denmark?
Also good question. Denmark has a tax year that follows the calendar year, and during the calendar year you would more or less pay taxes monthly, and we do what we call prepayment of taxes in Denmark. The way it works is that you as a taxpayer, you inform the tax authorities what you expect to have of income, hopefully not too low, but somewhere up, and based on that they would actually assess what you need to pay in taxes, and they would also create what we call a tax card that you then use also together with whoever you get money from. So if you have an employer, your employer would use the tax card, and on that tax card you simply have stated how much you need to pay. And that's then prepaid during the tax year.
Alright. So Denmark is also known for its very high tax percentage. So can you maybe explain a little bit the most basic? What is the basic tax percentage when being here in Denmark?
It's a very good question, and I would say many they have heard maybe rumors that you pay 50% or more of your tax or of your income in Denmark, but I would say as an average we do see that many people they are below 40%.
Okay.
And then also one important thing to know is that part of your income would normally be tax-free. So when you pay the tax rate, it's only on a portion of your income, and that is because we have different allowances. And also different deductions, that actually means that part of your income every month is tax-free, so you take that right in your pocket, and then the remaining you pay the tax for. So the effective tax rate is never 50%. Not for students.
That's good to hear.
At least if you have a lot of money, large investments, you could be in a special situation, but I don't think that's the case for the majority.
And we will also look at the deductions a little bit more in depth in episode 4. So remember to stay tuned, because Daniel is giving a lot of tips on how to do tax properly. So let's talk a little bit more about the e-tax system. So every time that you are paying tax or you want to correct something, you can actually do it online. So can you explain the most essential of these self-service tax systems?
Yeah, so I think you say it in a good way, because it is truly a self-service. It hasn't always been that in Denmark, but during the recent years it's becoming more and more, you can say both technology driven, but also very self-service. So you as a taxpayer, you need to be sure that you actually manage your tax and you pay what you should. And to manage that, the tax authorities, they have an electronic platform where you log in with your NEM ID. We will come back to that in another episode. And once you go into the platform, you can actually see, you can manage your tax for previous years, the current year you're in, and also future years. You can see income reported from different companies. You can go in and change your tax card and a lot of other stuff.
Okay. So can you mention like an example for when you actually want to get into the system is it only limited to correcting incomes, or can you actually do everything in the e-tax system?
There is a limit sometimes to what you can do, but I would say for what you need to as a student, and also with a fairly simple economy, you are actually capable of managing that. And a good example is maybe that you get a job, and you started without any job, and now you have a job, and then you need to log in and update your tax card, and actually inform the tax authorities that for the rest of the year you expect to have an income, and state the estimated amount.
Yeah, and I've actually done that, and it's not that, I don't think it's that hard when you know how the structure is, but we're gonna go through that in another episode.
We can maybe mention it's still only in Danish. It's possible to translate with Google Chrome, and then of course when everything is new, it's the first time, it is a bit confusing.
Yeah, and we will actually in our blogs we will go through it in a more guidance way, because we know that the e-tax system is still in Danish, unfortunately. But we'll put in some screen dumps and actually tell you guys how to actually do that, and where to put your income, and where to correct your personal deductions or whatever that is relevant there. So yeah, I think that was it for this episode. It was about the simplest introduction for the Danish tax system, and the next episode that we're gonna launch in next week is about the most 4 significant steps about what to do when you arrive to Denmark. So that could be like NemID and tax card and so on. So stay tuned for next episode. Take care.